Coochie coo, baby. Hello, nieces and nephews, and welcome back for a very special episode we're calling Uncle Orlock's Halloween Special, Halloween Special. Tonight, we're going to do a countdown of the top 10 best Halloween specials of all time, with a few honorable mentions included. These 10 spooky specials are guaranteed to get you into the spirit of All Hallows Eve. Now, growing up, waiting in anticipation for the night of trick-or-treating and planning your costume for the 31st of October, nothing was so cozy as sitting on your living room rug, scooting up to the TV to watch your favorite Halloween special. For some reason, back in the 70s and 80s, everyone had the TV on the floor. No wonder Gen X grew up attached to the tube. Now, before we get started, it's worth mentioning that most, not all, but most of the specials on the list tonight originally aired in the 1970s and 80s. It's not only because these were the specials that most influenced me as Little Orlock, but it seems like those decades were the golden era of animated and live-action TV holiday specials, which has become somewhat of a lost entertainment form. Before there was streaming or DVD, they would air on a specific night on network television, so it became a mini event as a kid running up to my favorite holiday. Now, you can see these specials today on DVD or streaming services, but it's just not the same as when they would air annually on television. I mean, the commercials themselves, many advertising cheap Halloween costumes sold in Toys R Us and holiday kitsch, were also part of the viewing experience. If you're watching this and you're too young to have seen these specials originally on TV, this list is especially for you as a great recommendation to seek out and watch this October. So, get down on your rug, cross your legs, and get ready for the 10 best Halloween specials of all time. Number 10.
Hey, 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 it's the Fat Albert Halloween Special.
Fat Albert's Halloween Special. This originally aired on CBS on October 24th, 1977. Created by now disgraced comedian Bill Cosby, we here at The Vault are still including it on our list for the quality of the special itself and the Fat Albert gang as characters. The story sees Fat Albert and his friends going on a Halloween adventure where initially Rudy and his new friend DeVray set out to scare old folks, but in typical Fat Albert fashion, a valuable lesson is learned. A memorable scene is when the character Mudfoot Brown steals their candy while telling them how, as a kid, he would cross dark streets against busy traffic while wearing all dark clothing for fun. The animation is of the usual Saturday morning cartoon quality done by Filmation, a company also responsible for animating The Archie Show and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe in the 1980s. The special has a solid Halloween tone and is good enough to start off our list. Moving on. Number 9. Roseanne Boo episode.
I hate Halloween.
Oh, you don't even know what Halloween is.
Well, why don't you...
This sitcom was created by another controversial comedian, Roseanne Barr. I know we're getting off to a weird start here, but just stick with me though, it gets better. The episode originally aired on October 31st, Halloween night in 1989 on ABC. It also marked the first of what would become an annual tradition for the show, every year featuring a Halloween episode. This continues even today with the new version of the show called The Conners. In the episode, Roseanne and her husband Dan, played by the always good John Goodman, I mean it's right in his name, compete with each other to see who can be scarier on Halloween, while the family also doles out good-natured frights to trick-or-treaters with a walk-through haunted house in the Connor home. I remember this being one of the more ambitious sitcom Halloween specials, with a fun end seeing Dan go full Jason on Roseanne.
The Master.
Number 8. Mad Monster Party. This one is a stop-motion animated feature-length film released in 1967. It was produced by Rankin Bass Productions, who are most well known for their timeless Christmas specials, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, The Year Without a Santa Claus, Frosty the Snowman, plus many, many more. Though the company was founded by Arthur Rankin Jr. and his partner Jules Bass in New York City, the animation itself was done by Japanese company MOM Productions in Tokyo. Mad Monster Party is about a mad scientist named Baron Boris von Frankenstein who achieves the secret of total destruction and decides to summon all the famous monsters to the Isle of Evil in the Caribbean Sea so he can share his secret before retiring. This includes all the great classic monsters from the 30s and 40s, including the Frankenstein monster and his mate, plus Count Dracula, the Mummy, Quasimodo, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the creature from the Black Lagoon. It features the voice talents of Boris Karloff and Phyllis Diller. This would be the last project Karloff would be involved in concerning the Frankenstein monster. Mad Monster Party has become a cult favorite in the years since its release, and it's worth checking out for those fans of the Rankin Bass holiday specials. Yeah. Number 7. The Worst Witch. Originally released on November 1st, 1986 on ITV in England and HBO in the States, the made-for-TV film was based on the first book from the series of children's books written and illustrated by British author Jill Murphy, about a girl named Mildred Hubble who attends a witch school of magic. Published in 1974, decades before J.K. Rowling would even start writing her best-selling Harry Potter franchise. In fact, Rowling seemed to have lifted more than just the premise from this book series, as the Harry Potter stories, though larger in scope, definitely feature many characters that seem to be carbon copied from The Worst Witch.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the worst witch of them all?
The made-for-TV British production of The Worst Witch is an endearing adaptation starring a young Fairuza Balk as a self-conscious and sensitive little witch, Mildred. Balk at this time was just coming off her starring role as Dorothy Gale in the creepy Walter Murch adaptation of L. Frank Baum's Return to Oz, and she would go on later to appear as a much more sinister witch, a mean girl witch if you will, in the 1996 teen horror film The Craft. The Worst Witch is also a musical with, unfortunately, subpar songs, but has a terrific cast, including Diana Rigg as the intimidating Miss Hardbroom, Charlotte Rae, best known as Mrs. Garrett in the sitcoms Different Strokes and its spin-off, The Facts of Life, plays Miss Cackle and her evil twin sister, Agatha. Plus, a special appearance by the great Tim Curry, who sings a song about Halloween as the Grand Wizard. Not that kind of Grand Wizard. It's a magic Grand Wizard. Okay, this show is going off the rails fast.
Has anybody seen my tambourine? I may start playing, picking the begging. The craziest night you've ever seen. This hairy, scary, creepy, crawling.
Number 6, The Midnight Hour. This one is a bit of a lost gem. The Midnight Hour is a made-for-TV feature-length film which originally aired on November 1st, 1985 on ABC. It's about a group of high school friends who steal some costumes along with an ancient scroll from a local historical museum and end up conjuring an ancient curse by reading from the scroll, thus bringing back the dead. unleashing zombies, vampires, werewolves, and ghosts upon a little town of Pitchford Cove in Massachusetts on Halloween night. It's a horror, comedy, musical with some supernatural teen romance thrown in. The film stars Shari Belafonte, daughter of Harry Belafonte, LeVar Burton, known primarily at this time for Roots and Reading Rainbow, Dee Dee Pfeiffer, younger sister of Michelle Pfeiffer, plus prolific character actors Kevin McCarthy, Dick Van Patten, Kurtwood Smith.
Werewolves, vampires, zombies, goblins, and little green men add up to let's all have fun with the cops.
And featuring the voice of Wolfman Jack.
Look out, it's the midnight hour, baby!
The film even marks Macaulay Culkin's first screen role as an uncredited trick-or-treater. The Midnight Hour crams in a little bit of everything, including a dance number to an original song called Get Dead, which isn't very good to be honest, but it also includes music from Wilson Pickett, of course, the title being The Midnight Hour, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, Three Dog Night, and The Smiths. It received pretty poor reviews from critics when it first aired, which is probably why it fell off the map for so many years. But for those who remember seeing it as a kid, the film leaves a lasting impression for its quintessential 80s Halloween vibe. The movie did have limited home video and DVD releases over the years, but is currently out of print. But for the nostalgic or the curious, you can now see the movie in its entirety on YouTube.
Everybody should try it. Get dead.
Now, before we continue with our countdown, first, we have a word for you from Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Wanna go psycho with me, Elvira? Here at the Bates Motel? Look for me wherever they sell mug root beer. And enter the Go Psycho with Elvira contest. You can be my guest at Universal Studios in Hollywood for a monstrous bash at the Bates Motel. Shower anyone? This Halloween, go psycho with Elvira and win a party with mug root beer and me.
I love my mug.
I love it.
Back to our list. At number 5, Disney DTV Monster Hits. In the 80s, Disney put out a number of these type of holiday music video animated specials. DTV was a riff on the popular MTV format at the time, utilizing classic clips from the Disney Film Library. The show was essentially an amalgamation of music videos edited together from these clips set along to appropriately themed pop and rock songs from the era.
But who?
The Queen.
Queen.
Upward, child. Run. Run away. Hide.
You better run. You better hide. You better leave from my side. You better
This Halloween special aired on NBC the night of Friday, October 30th, 1987, and featured Disney animated montage videos to such hit songs as Michael Jackson's Thriller, the Ghostbusters theme by Ray Parker Jr., Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival, The Monster Mash by Bobby Pickett, Superstition by Stevie Wonder, You Better Run by Pat Benatar, Dream World by Daryl Hall, Sweet Dream by the Eurythmics, plus many more. It's probably because of the music licensing this was never given a proper Disney DVD release. The special was hosted by both Hazel the Witch, whose classic short called Trick or Treat with Huey, Dewey, and Louie is included, albeit in an edited down form, as well as the Man in the Magic Mirror, played by actor Jeffrey Jones. Oh boy.
I wouldn't want to give any of you nightmares.
This list is killing me.
delightfully gruesome reaction. Take it away, Michael Jackson.
Oi! Number 4, The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. These specials have become an annual tradition for The Simpsons. The first Treehouse of Horror aired on Fox on October 25th, 1990. It was introduced in Season 2, Episode 3. Though these annual specials are all called Treehouse of Horror, usually followed by a Roman numerals of denoting each successive season, it was the first one which actually featured the Simpson kids telling scary tales in the eponymous treehouse while Homer eavesdrops after trick-or-treating. The Treehouse of Horror episodes are all done as an anthology, usually consisting of 3 separate stories. The episodic structure was originally inspired by EC Comics, which was a horror comic publication from the 1950s. Some of these titles included The Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt, later itself adapted into an anthology film and then an HBO series. The first story told by Bart was called Bad Dream House, which spoofed many famous haunted house stories such as the Amityville Horror, The Shining, and Poltergeist. The second segment, also narrated by Bart, was titled Hungry Are the Damned, which was an alien abduction spoof. This segment would introduce the slimy, tentacled aliens named Kang and Kodos, who would show up in many future Treehouse of Horror specials. The segment most directly referenced the classic Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man.
The rest of the book, To Serve Man, it's a cookbook.
Oh, come on, Lisa.
You don't believe me? Then just look at this book that I found.
The third and final segment featured Lisa reading from the Edgar Allan Poe poem, The Raven. In the segment, Homer plays the narrator, voiced by the late great James Earl Jones, who recites directly from Poe's literary text. Of course, the Raven itself resembles Bart, perpetually tormenting Homer as the titular bird, mocking Homer's grief of his lost Lenore, represented as Marge in a large portrait. This was some sophisticated stuff for a Halloween special. In fact, The Simpsons creator Matt Groening was concerned that it would be seen as pretentious, but the episode, and the Raven segments specifically, earned across-the-board praise from critics and fans alike.
Quoth the Raven.
Nevermore.
The Treehouse of Horror specials continue its annual tradition, with the 35th installment scheduled to air on October 27th, 2024. The new specials, though, haven't been able to capture that genuinely funny and creepy Halloween vibe of the earlier seasons. Perhaps in the future we'll dedicate an entire show to a countdown of the best Treehouse of Horror episodes.
There's nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust your picture. We are controlling the transmission.
What's that, boy? We're in control?
Now, we're getting down to our top 3 best Halloween specials. But before we do, we want to let you know that this episode has been brought to you today by Uncle Orlock's Frosty O's cereal. So now, a word from our sponsor.
It's Frosty O's, that same old taste that Grandma loves, that won't make your spit all thick. It's Frosty O's. You're gonna smell like a rose after you eat Frosty O's. You'll buy 'em, it'll go buck wild when you eat Frosty O's. Eat it in the quiet of your tomb. Frosty O's is a little sweet and a little sour. It's Frosty O's. Don't leave. And now, for a limited time only, free 3D glasses in every box of Frosty O's. Free.
Uncle Orlock's Frosty O's, part of any nutritious, balanced breakfast. Okay, moving on to number 3. Number 3. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Based on the comic strip created and written by Charles M. Schulz and directed by Bill Melendez, this one is a favorite for every Peanuts fan and those of us who have fond memories of it being repeated on TV every Halloween season.
Oh, you didn't tell me you were gonna kill it.
What would any holiday be, actually, without a coinciding Charlie Brown special? After the success of A Charlie Brown Christmas in 1965, it was decided for the Peanuts gang to be featured in a Halloween special as a follow-up. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown originally aired on CBS on October 27th, 1966. In this special, we follow 3 different storylines. One is about Linus deciding to forego Halloween trick-or-treating, and instead he waits in a pumpkin patch for the imminent arrival of a mythical figure known as the Great Pumpkin. He also hooks Sally into waiting with him. Then there is the always very surreal sequences following Snoopy as the World War I flying ace, as he crash lands in enemy territory in World War I France, eventually tying him into Linus's storyline. Finally, there is good old Charlie Brown, who pretty much suffers a number of humiliations during the Halloween celebrations, including having his head used as a model for the jack-o'-lantern, as well as striking out even at trick-or-treating with the other kids.
I got 5 pieces of candy. I got a chocolate bar. I got a quarter. I got a rock.
Poor old Charlie Brown. The signature animation style of the special is exceptionally cozy, evoking the perfectly spooky yet warm autumn season. The music for the special features the always relaxed, jazzy stylings of Vince Guaraldi and his sextet. This special makes you desire a glass of warm apple cider. Over the years, though, I've noticed the main plotline and theme of Linus's futile night of waiting for the Great Pumpkin to arrive greatly resembles the Samuel Beckett play Waiting for Godot. I mean, it's kind of fits, considering Charlie Brown's dilemmas were always centered around a sort of existential crisis and melancholia about the meaning of life. But, you know, for kids.
Oh, Great Pumpkin, where are you?
Number 2. Garfield's Halloween Adventure. This fantastic animated special first aired on October 30th, 1985 on CBS, alongside It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Now, some may feel that it's sacrilege to place Garfield above Charlie Brown on this list, but this nudges the Great Pumpkin out for 2 main reasons. One is because of the songs written for the special, but most importantly, the second reason is that it's actually scary, at least for kids, which are the intended audience.
Shut up, you two!
Written by Garfield creator Jim Davis and directed by Phil Roman, who had previously directed several Garfield specials, Garfield's Halloween Adventure tells the tale of the orange fat cat along with Odie deciding to dress up for Halloween as a couple of pirates to go trick-or-treating for all that candy, 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 candy.
Candy, 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 candy. Steady yourself, Garfield.
The first half of the episode is geared to be more light and funny like a standard holiday special. But Garfield's adventure takes a turn for the spooky when Garfield, greedy for more candy, decides he and Odie should try and take a boat across the river at night to reach the houses on the other side. Odie stupidly puts out the oars and the two drift down river with no end in sight. They eventually come on shore to this small island in the middle of nowhere. An old spooky mansion sits on the hill.
Nice touch.
Inside, they find a fire burning in the fireplace, but are startled by an old man who has a ghostly tale to tell.
I am about to tell you has never been told to another living soul.
What precedes feels somewhat like an animated version of John Carpenter's The Fog, as dead ghost pirates are destined to arrive at the stroke of midnight on the isolated island to retrieve their buried treasure. In regard to the story, creator Jim Davis is quoted as saying that he wanted to, quote, go somewhere that would at least scare 4-year-olds. For me, the story, animation, and music all put this special above many others. The glowing ghost effect really makes the supernatural elements pop alongside the spooky backgrounds.
Maybe they didn't see us.
The music and lyrics written by Ed Bogus and Desiree Goyette are memorable, especially the opening number, This Is the Night, and Scaredy Cat, both performed by Lou Rawls.
I may be selfish, yeah, and all of that, but the one thing I'm not is a scaredy cat.
The one thing he's not is a scaredy cat.
Other songs are performed by Garfield voice actor Lorenzo Music. Garfield's Halloween Adventure will go on to win the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program in 1986. The special continued to air during the Halloween season, usually paired with The Great Pumpkin for the rest of the 80s and most of the 90s. October 1999 would mark the last network airing of Garfield's Halloween Adventure, but it can be found on DVD and is available on Peacock for streaming. Now, before we reveal our number one pick, we want to include a couple of honorable mentions. The first honorable mention goes to Casper the Friendly Ghost. He Ain't Scary, He's Our Brother from 1979. It's also known as Casper Saves Halloween and Casper's Halloween Special. This one was produced by Hanna-Barbera for airing on NBC. It's cute and an obvious choice for Casper the Friendly Ghost to be given a Halloween special. The animation and quality is also standard for the Hanna-Barbera assembly line approach to production. The second honorable mention is Raggedy Ann and Andy in The Pumpkin Who Couldn't Smile, also from 1979. This one was produced, written, and directed by the legendary Chuck Jones. As a result, the animation and storytelling are superior to many other specials. It's actually a very touching little story about a young boy whose aunt won't let him go out with the other children to have fun trick-or-treating, and a lonely pumpkin who is carved to look sad, and thus no one wanted it on Halloween. He even cries pumpkin seeds. It's a sweet special, but it didn't make the list proper because it's really missing that spooky Halloween quality. But it is worth checking out for younger kids. And now for our number one best Halloween special of all time. It's Walt Disney's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Now, I know what some of you might say, that this wasn't originally a TV special, but rather one segment of a two-part anthology feature film entitled The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, released by RKO in 1949. And you would be right, partially. Based on the 1820 short story by author Washington Irving, the familiar tale is about an awkward and eccentric schoolmaster arriving in Sleepy Hollow, which is a small village outside Tarrytown, New York. Possessing an affected, refined charm before the ladies of the village, Ichabod sets his eyes on Katrina, the daughter of the richest farmer in town, Baltus Van Tassel, an unofficial fiancé to local meathead Brom Bones. As a result, Ichabod becomes the target of Brom as the two compete for the buxom Katrina's affections. All, though, comes to a head when Katrina invites both men to her father's annual Halloween party. There, Brom decides to use Ichabod's superstitious beliefs against him when he regales the party guests with the tale of the Headless Horseman.
When the spooks have a midnight jamboree, they break it up with fiendish glee. Ghosts are bad, but the one that's cursed is the Headless Horseman.
Later that night, as the witching hour approaches, Ichabod makes his lonely journey home on horseback through the darkened woods of the Hollow. As legend would have it, Ichabod confronts and is pursued by the Headless Horseman in a show-stopping chase, which culminates in a rush for the bridge where the horseman's powers end. It's up to the audience to decide whether this confrontation was a figment of Ichabod's overactive imagination instigated by a prank, or was the schoolmaster really taken by the Headless Spectre? This Disney adaptation was first conceived as a feature film, but it was later decided for it to be cut down to fit as the second segment in a package film, which became common at the Disney studio during the 1940s. It was paired with another truncated adaptation of Kenneth Grahame's 1908 children's novel, The Wind in the Willows. The animation for both segments, being Disney, completely towers over anything else on our list, especially the third act finale, which sees Ichabod making his way through the spooky wood of the Hollow. One shot even depicts an impression of a dark cloud in the shape of a ghostly hand drifting over the moon. The build-up to the arrival of the Headless Horseman and then the reveal itself is the closest Disney ever got to straight-up horror. The ensuing chase is probably one of the best animated sequences of the classic Disney era. The two halves of the Sleepy Hollow segment complement each other tonally. Surprisingly for Disney, they don't soften Ichabod's character at all, depicting him, like in the original story, as being greedy and lustful, and an opportunist. Katrina is also someone who is playing both suitors against each other to make Brom, her intended, jealous. These aren't nice people. In fact, Disney Renaissance animator Andreas Dea has said he referenced Brom Bones as inspiration in his approach to animating Gaston for Beauty and the Beast, which that seems pretty obvious. Bing Crosby provides the vocal narration for the segment and performs the memorable songs written by Don Ray and Gene DePaul. The direction by Jack Kinney and Clyde Geronimi give the animated film a very cinematic feel. It's pretty hard for any other special to compete with this one from a quality standpoint. Now, the reason we feel we can include this on our list of Halloween specials is because the Ichabod segment of the film eventually premiered on television during the second season of TV's Disneyland on October 26, 1955, under the title The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Subsequently, it later aired on television in truncated form as part of the TV specials Halloween Hall of Fame 1977 and Disney's Halloween Treat 1982. So to us, that counts as a definite Halloween special. The Disney version of the Headless Horseman story has become the one most of us grew up with. Parts of it were even referenced in the Tim Burton adaptation Sleepy Hollow in 1999. There was even a planned Sleepy Hollow ride that was to be included in the Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland at Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, which would have been awesome, but unfortunately never came to pass. The character of the Headless Horseman has become an official villain in the Disney canon, often making appearances at the Disney parks during the Halloween season, including heading off Mickey's Boo to You Halloween parade. So, its legacy continues. Well, that's our list. Do you agree with it? Did we leave one of your favorite Halloween specials off the list? Please tell us in the comment sections below. But first, remember to like and subscribe. Uh-oh. I know that music. It must be Batmail. Oh, there it comes. Oh, hey. Hi there. Hey, boy. What do you got for me? What do you got? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes. Let's see. Oh, And this is going to be for our next episode. What do we got here? Oh, and coming up on our next episode of Uncle Orlok's Vault, we're going to be doing a special 40th anniversary retrospective on Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. So remember to come back and join us for that. Well, until then, nieces and nephews, remember, have a happy Halloween. Coochie coo, baby.